It isn't perfect, all right? Not everyone follows the laws all the time, but it seems like what the U.S. has said is we're going to dump that entirely, and we're going to take what we want, when we want, and how we want, and the rest of the world can go to hell. I don't think that's going to end well. When President Trump was running for office, he said over and over and over again, I'm not going to do wars. In fact, he very specifically said, if I'm president, we will not go to war with Iran. And here we are. So I'm genuinely curious, what changed? What changed from when he was a candidate to when he was in office that has led us to the level of conflict that we are now experiencing? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Let me reassure you emphatically that I'm a loyal lieutenant of the President, and we don't do anything in the Department of War that is not aligned with the President. I am not in the chain of command, sir. So when you say you, I can only infer that you are referring to President Trump's Department of War. I stay very, very closely tied in with Secretary Hegseth, who is, of course, with the President essentially every day, whether directly, physically, or otherwise. So let me just stress once again, sir, that these are the policies of the Trump administration. I am a loyal lieutenant of the President, and we follow his instructions on this issue as others.
A lot of different ways to ask this question, but the bottom line is, what does success look like in Iran? Basically, what are the objectives that we are trying to achieve, and what does it look like when we go, okay, we've achieved our objectives, success, we're done, we're out?
I would say I can give you the perspective from the Department of War, which represents the direction that the President has given for the military campaign, which is specifically focused on degrading and destroying the power projection, particularly the conventional power projection capabilities of the Islamic Republic of Iran, and thus especially missile one-way attack drones capabilities and their production, as well as the naval forces of the Islamic Republic.
How destroyed does it have to?
Well, I think I mean, we're going to seek to do the best we can. I think we're on plan, as Admiral Cooper has said. I think that can nest with a variety of political outcomes, as the President referred to the other day. The Venezuela
Two parts
model.
to that. I keep hearing that we're on plan, and I keep asking, and this is oversimplification, but I don't know, they had 10,000 missiles, now they have 8,000. And I keep getting told, yeah, we don't really have those specific information yet. So how do we know that we're on plan? When that's done, if the Islamic Republic is still there, they will simply rebuild. So what is the objective to prevent that from happening?
I don't think that's a given at all.
Well, it's not a given, but what's the objective?
Right. No, I think
How do we
it's
get to the
precisely
point where it doesn't
avoid
happen?
the Islam. I mean, as Secretary Hegseth said, part of this, and I think Secretary Rubio as well, was, the Iran was building a conventional shield to enable a recovery of its nuclear ambitions. And so obviously, as part of the, end state, without being too kind of linear about it, is to prevent an outcome where they don't have the incentive. And that's where the Venezuela model, I think there's a realistic sense we have learned the lessons of Iraq and not being overly ambitious.
You understand that comparing Iran to Venezuela is like, I don't know, comparing Kentucky to Venezuela. It's equally valid. Iran.
I don't think it's a perfect analogy, sir, but I think I'm just making a point about in terms of the flexibility of the political objective. And of course, the President has said it's a fact, it's a historic opportunity for the Iranian people to rise up and overthrow this noxious government.
Things that's going to make sure that we don't go to war with Iran. He failed. We're at war with Iran, and 14 other countries have been dragged into it. So the speech that you laid out was very well said, and if that is what was happening, I'd have some quibbles, but at least we could live with it. But very clearly, that agenda failed in Iran. Why?
I don't think, sir, it failed. I mean, the President has been consistent for many years that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, and it's a serious threat.
He's also been consistent that he would not, that war would, look, anyone can come in and blow stuff up. I mean, that option's been on the table, and that's the option we've been taking a long time. And that was sort of the President's argument, was I'm different. I'm so strong that this isn't going to happen on my watch, and he was wrong. It did.
I don't think the President's wrong. I think the President's demonstrated, I mean, in his first term as well, but certainly in his second term, that he is prepared to use the military instrument. That's why he keeps referring to peace through strength.
If it hasn't been clear to you yet, we're concerned that the President and his staff and minions are disrespecting the Congress of the United States, this committee, and simply going to do whatever a dictator wants to do.
Does Operation Epic Fury deter China?
I think there's an argument that it can have some deterrent effect.
Just yes
but
or no, do you think
what I do see is that
Well, I know what we want to know.
Well,
Do you view?
I can give you more
do you think
specificity. We do see that others around the world, and conscious that we're in an open hearing, are very impressed by the prowess of the joint force and are.
But do you think, as someone who's
well, I think that
focused on
contributes to
China for a
deterrence.
long time,
Absolutely.
do you think it deters?
It contributes to deterrence. Yeah, I think that's fair.
Okay, and yet for years you have argued that supporting Ukraine does not help deter China. So can you square that circle for us?
I can't.
Just to be clear, Secretary Rubio said that we are burden sharing for Israel because we started the war on their timeline. So I'm asking how our allies are burden sharing for us.
I'm sorry, can you say that again? Sorry.
I'm asking how our allies are burden sharing for us.
Well, I mean, Israel is obviously doing it. We see it from the Gulf partners where there's a lot of munitions depth, et cetera. So, and actually some of the European,
Let me just ask
Canadian
you,
Prime Minister
okay,
said.
we're coming to the end. How many pages was your opening statement? I'll tell you, it's 1,700 words, 177 sentences. You devoted one sentence to the war in Iran and not one word to the 6 soldiers who have been killed in action. Do you think that's appropriate today?
I have only the deepest respect for those soldiers and their families, sir.
And I would rank China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea as our 4 biggest adversaries in that order. What we're doing right now in Iran, if we were in a conflict with China, would we have the capacity to do both?
Sir, I think we're in very good shape in large part because of the President's leadership, because this strategy is designed to get after the defense industrial capacity and the readiness and the restoration of the warfighting ethos that will allow us, and the stepping up by our allies and partners rapidly that will allow us to deal with the full range of potential challenges.
Because it came to light after Venezuela that the administration actually briefed private sector companies, energy companies, before that operation, before briefing Congress. Right now, there are thousands of Americans stranded because there's no evacuation plan. I would like to know whether the administration took the time to brief private companies and executives, but didn't take the time to brief this oversight body and also make plans to evacuate civilians and our constituents before setting off a regional war.
Well, sir, I'll get an answer for you.
Thank you.
Familiar with it in generic terms.
And you're not a lawyer, but you're familiar with.
I went to law school, but I'm not a lawyer.
Okay.